what may is run after them, chase them down, try to get them to explain themselves, or apologize, or come back and fix it, make it better. Whereas really what our very first responsibility is to our own hearts. And to make sure that whatever just happened doesn't stay in the heart. And in the same way, when it's something you've done, knowingly, unknowingly, by accident, on purpose, that guilt is like a horrible coffee stain on your couch. It's a stain on your heart. It's keeping you from loving freely because you're stuck, you're contracted. The mind is focused, you're awake all night, you become obsessed with the thought. You hate yourself. Maybe you hate the other person for not telling you what it was or for reacting in a way that you don't think they should have. But in either case, that action has taken over your life and closed your heart. And so the first thing to do is to just breathe into that heart, knowing that whatever you may have done, knowingly, unknowingly, by accident, on purpose, you are still a divine being. You are still a being of light. You are still a being of love. That whatever you did, it was done in ignorance. In this case, so much ignorance that you don't even know what you did. But even if we know what we did, you don't wake up in the morning and say, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to really hurt someone today. I'm going to just make someone's life miserable. We don't think like that. We wake up in the morning really wanting to be good people. We want to help others. We want to share love and share light. We want people to love us. We want to love the world. We want to share our gifts. We don't want to cause people pain. And so the first thing is just release that death grip on your heart that says, I'm a horrible being. And just simply acknowledge the light and the love in you. And also the humanness in you. That here we are as beings of light, beings of divinity living this human existence with these human brains that become filled with patterns and stories and memories and emotions. It's these patterns of electrical and chemical behavior in the brain and triggered by things, and we switch on autopilot so frequently. We react and later we say, that wasn't me. It's like, well, then who was it? Well, it was me, but it was the unconscious me. And so simply acknowledge that sometimes I'm unconscious. And make a vow. Again, whether you know what you did or you don't know what you did, whatever it was done in unconsciousness. Unless you're a being who consciously decides, I'm going to hurt another being. When we hurt, we do it because we were not conscious in that moment. We were reacting, we were overcome with anger, fear, stress, fatigue, ignorance, confusion. All of the stuff that makes us act in ways that is not really who we are at the core. And so after you've loosened that death grip of guilt on your heart, make a commitment to being more conscious, such that things like this don't happen again, whatever it may have been. And then, of course, reach out to the person. If you can make amends, make amends. Sometimes you can't directly. Sometimes they're no longer living. Sometimes they don't respond to you. They stop taking your calls. They ghost you, right? They ignore you. Well, that's all right. That's their karmic package. But from your side, express from the depths of your heart, not, I'm so sorry that I did something, I don't even know what it is that you reacted badly to. But I can see that you're hurt. I must have acted unconsciously, or we must have had a misunderstanding. I apologize for my part in that. Can we talk? I miss you. But say something genuine from your heart. And again, if you know what it was, then fully apologize. Sometimes we think that apologizing means that we're weak. But it actually means we're strong, because it means peace is more important than my ego. Even if you don't think you did something wrong. If apologizing is going to fix the situation, apologize anyway. Right? We think, my God, but I can't do that. They're going to think I'm weak. Having the courage to say you're sorry, when in your mind you've actually done nothing wrong and the other guy's the problem, is actually a very strong position, because what it says is, I value peace between us, in my own mind and heart, much more than I value my perspective on the interaction that took place between us. I think one thing, you think another thing, fine. Who cares? What matters is let's live in peace. I'm tired of wasting brain energy, precious time going over what I said, what you said, who's right, who's wrong. Let's just live in peace. We love each other. Who cares who's right? So if by apologizing, you can restore peace, that's actually the strong thing to do. Obviously, if you know that you made the mistake, but even if you don't, apologize on their behalf. You're one anyway, on the highest, deepest levels. Don't tell them, of course, hey, I'm apologizing on your behalf because you're too stuck up to do it. I'm apologizing on your behalf because I'm the bigger party here. Don't say that. But just, I'm sorry for my unconsciousness that has created this moment of lack of peace, of distance from love between us. Very frequently, a genuine apology is the shortest bridge between the two sides. And if your goal is to come back together, whether it's a loved one, whether it's a friend, even just a colleague, build that bridge. The bridge builders are the ones who are heroes. Build that bridge. And if you can't make amends because they're no longer in their body, because you have no idea how to find them or reach them, Don't worry. Talk to their soul. From your heart, from your soul. Speak it to them. Energetically, they will feel it. I love the visual imagery of the idea that if we're holding on to two ends of a cord and we're each pulling, therefore there's a lot of tension in the cord. All it takes is one person to let go and 100% of the tension goes away. A lot of times we think, well, I'll apologize if you apologize, or, I'll take a step in if you'll take a step in. When really, it only takes one person being prepared to say, I no longer want to be yanking on this cord. I don't want to live in tension. You do whatever you're going to do. I don't want to live in tension. So we let go. And the entire cord loses its tension. So even if that person is no longer able to let go from their side, don't worry. And even if, by the way, even if they are still in their body and they're not prepared to let go, because that also happens. You apologize and someone says, I don't accept it. They're not prepared. Okay. That's their prerogative. We're not the karmic police dictating other people's karmic journey. We're only in charge of ours. And our goal, our duty, is to keep our heart clean. And so we do whatever we need to do for our heart to let go. With love, with prayers. And the rest is really up to them. And that's important to realize, because someone else's reaction is not your responsibility. Your reaction is. So reach out with love. When they're ready, they will reach back out with love. And until then, at least you are living in love. And ultimately, that's what matters the most. Questions? Yes.
Can I ask from Srimad Bhagavad Gita?
Sure.
Like in lesson 3, there are 2 verses. In one verse, Lord says, Prakriti miyanti bhutani nigraham kim karishyasi. And in another one, he says that Prakriti kriya manani gune karmani sarvasva ahankar vimudhatma karta it aham amanyate. Like it's all the nature by which you are born, you do the things. And by nature you do the things and you can't do anything. So my question is that how the self-effort will help. Like we have to transcend all the 3 gunas from the from the lower mode to the mode of passion, then to the goodness, and then we have to transcend. But where the self-effort will go? If
Beautiful. Yes. हमारे नेचर कैसे बनते हैं? When Bhagavan Krishna says that everything is acting according to its nature, absolutely. But what creates our nature? It's not that somewhere in the clouds, in the skies, we are created like a doll from clay and dropped onto earth. It's not like God is sitting somewhere like a child with a doll and, creates the doll and puts all the clothes and then just drops it onto the earth with a battery to do its thing. When you buy a doll in the market, they each do different things, right? One doll, you pull the cord and it sings one song. Another doll, you pull the cord, its eyelashes flutter and maybe it does something else. Another one, you pull the cord, it does karate, right? I mean, different dolls do different things. And they only can do what their maker has made them to do. Karate doll's not going to dance ballet. Ballet doll's not going to do karate. But we have not been made like that. We are not inanimate objects. We have been created with free will. We have been created with the ability, more than the ability, with the necessity of purifying our mind, our intellect. Right? When we speak about buddhi and purifying the buddhi, why? Well, because that creates our nature. Who I am, if I say to you, tell me about your loved one's personality, or tell me about your own personality, you're going to give me a lot of different things. Well, he likes to do this, and he's like this, and sometimes he gets angry if if you're late. He likes people who are on time. So if you're late, he gets angry, or if you do this, he gets angry. But otherwise, his nature is very good. Well, what made that nature? And when you look at the personality of different people, there's so much of them. In this circumstance, they're like this. In this circumstance, they're like that. They're good at this. They're not so skilled at that. These moments, they have patience. These moments, they don't. Our nature is being constantly created. Constantly created. The reason that Bhagavan Krishna in the Gita tells us over and over again in so many different ways to go within, to introspect, to see, to understand, is because we are living in this illusion, right? Throughout the Gita, each of the 18 chapters has different lessons, you could say. But there's some lessons that go throughout all of the chapters. And this idea of wake up, stand up, goes throughout. And that's because we are asleep and we are living in illusion. And what is that illusion? That illusion is that we are this body, that we are our story, that we are our history, right? That we are our personalities. Even that we are our nature, right? Because you would say, well, the nature is part of your personality. You develop it. But then you look at Bhagavan Krishna saying who you are. Was never born, never dies. You're the soul. So what he's teaching us is to use the power of yoga, meaning sadhana, meaning all of the aspects of yoga, from our meditation to our devotion, to our wisdom, to our every moment action, in order to wake up, to open our eyes. But in order to do all of that, our mind has to be purified. Buddhi must become Shuddha. For this, we do our meditation, we do our sadhana, we do it right. And all of that changes our nature. When he explains to Arjuna how a wise one is, right? How a wise one lives, how a wise one acts, how a devotee acts, how is a bhakt, kind to everyone, friend to all. Well, these are natures that we cultivate. Having equanimity, right? The same in pleasure, in pain, in success, in failure, in gain, in loss. Well, this is not something you're born with. This is something you cultivate. He doesn't say anywhere, the yogis are the ones who are over 6 feet tall. The yogis are the ones with brown hair. The yogis are the ones who have this color eyes. Well, those are things we can't change. Nowhere in the entire Bhagavad Gita does he give any description that is something that we are actually born with. Whether you look at descriptions of the wise ones or the devoted ones, the yogis, the bhakts, these qualities of nature are all those which we cultivate. And that's why we do our sadhana. So our nature, yes, our nature determines how we act, how we live, therefore our destiny. But we are cultivating our nature every minute. From our thought, there is an action. From the action, we develop a habit. From the habit, we develop a character. And from our character, we develop a destiny. Right? This is one of those beautiful truisms. Our thoughts, therefore, lead to our destiny, which is why we are taught, watch your thoughts. Watch your thoughts. Because they lead to the actions, which lead to your habits, which lead to your character, which lead to your destiny. We are creating that destiny. So we must work with our nature. Pujya Swamiji always says, come to nature, be with nature, discover your true nature, and change your nature. It's why we come to nature on retreat, to learn to discover the truth of our nature, and then change the nature of how we're living in alignment with that truth. And lastly, when you talked about kya kare, we're just, doing these actions. Well, what does he tell us? He tells us, realize you are not the doer. Offer everything you do to me. It's the only way to break free of this cycle of samsara, right? But if I'm stuck in ego, if I'm stuck in greed, if I'm stuck in lust, well then naturally what I'm doing for me. I want it. I need it. I deserve it. I should have it. I'm not offering it to God. To be able to offer everything I do, everything I am to God, to make my life a yagna, you have to cultivate a nature. So the Gita is filled with teachings of very specific practices that teach us how to cultivate nature. We're actually having abhi hum log baat kare the usse pehle with our respected Vimalji, Gayatriji. They're giving a very, very special retreat on the Bhagavad Gita, 3 days on the Bhagavad Gita at Gita Jayanti. So if you want to dive more deeply into that, come back for a full 3-day program. on the Gita, walking you through living how to take all of the teachings and actually live them, because they are not theoretical. The Bhagavad Gita is not a theoretical scripture. It's a scripture that no matter who you are, what walk of life you come from, where you are in your life, you can open it up and get a very implementable teaching. So it's the exact opposite of the idea that you are stuck. It's the create your destiny scripture. Create your life scripture. Create your now scripture. And as we do that, we create our nature. So that we create through the conscious sadhana. We create different subconscious patterns. Graham se pani nahi piya. Gala sukhe ek second. We change our subconscious programming through conscious work. When you say someone's nature, another way of saying that is sort of their subconscious programming. Right? When they're not being fully conscious, how do they act? Someone's got a very good nature, meaning even they're busy, even they're stressed, even they're tired, even you've done something wrong, fear to be, they're going to be kind and patient and loving. Other people, they get tired, they get stressed, they get upset, and their nature maybe isn't quite as pleasant as it is in other moments. That's their subconscious programming. Through working consciously in our sadhana, through bhakti, through jnana, through karma, we actually change our subconscious programming or our nature. Beautiful. And do come back for the retreat. आपको बहुत मतलब अच्छा लगेगा. इतने गहराई में जाएं. हम थोड़ा सा समय में इतने गहराई में नहीं जा सकते. But come back for the 3 days. You'll really love it. Other questions? Okay. Well, then let's have a Karthik Purnima meditation before we conclude. And before meditation, because after meditation we'll just end in silence, a logistic note, which is we'll be back on our normal satsang time of about 6:30. Right after the arati, could be as early as 6:15, somewhere between 6:15 and 6:30 as soon as arati ends. Tonight we were late because of the eclipse. Arati started late, so therefore satsang was late. But we will be back to our normal, pre my trip to Israel time of satsang around 6:15, 6:30. So come to arati, enjoy the sacred arati, and then just after that, we'll gather here. So, allow your eyes to close. And just find a position that you can comfortably sit in for a few minutes without having to move or fidget. And allow the awareness. Allow the awareness to pull inward. Just draw that awareness from being focused on the world around you to being focused on the world inside of you. Draw the awareness to your breath. Don't try to change it, but simply allow the awareness to become one with the breath as it flows in and flows out. Just a gentle presence of awareness on the waves of the breath. Allow that awareness of the breath to become centered in a place just below your navel, about 2 inches below your navel. It's an energy center called the Swadhisthana chakra. Swadhisthana literally means the place of the self. In Sanskrit, swa is self, stan is place. So Swadhisthana is the place of the self. And it's just about 2 inches below your belly button. And just allow the awareness of the breath as you inhale and exhale to be focused there. Taking the inhalations from that energy center. And then exhaling and letting go. Sinking back down into that seat of the self on the exhalations. On the next inhalation, as you inhale, allow the breath to rise. So allow the breath to rise from the Swadhisthana chakra. Gently as you inhale, it rises up through the solar plexus, through the rib cage and lungs, through the throat, and up to our third eye center, the Agya chakra, just between the eyebrows. And then exhale and let go. So on the inhalations, you'll allow that breath to rise, gently carrying it from the Swadhisthana chakra up to the third eye center, the Agya chakra. And then exhaling back down to the Swadhisthana chakra on the exhalations. And if you find that you can't carry the breath easily and gently all the way up to your third eye on one unbroken inhalation, don't worry. Just carry it as high as it will easily and gently go. And then exhale and drop back into the Swadhisthana chakra. But allow the awareness, the intention to focus on that third eye, even if the breath doesn't rise all the way there. Taking the breaths at your own gentle speed. Rising higher and higher on each inhalation, and sinking deeper and deeper on each exhalation. And as the breath rises higher and higher, allow that energy of the breath, the energy of the mind's eye, to slowly allow that third eye to begin to open. Don't force it. Just allow it. And as you exhale, sinking deeper and deeper, allow yourself to experience that expansion of that experience of the source within you. That each time as you exhale down, it seems that that energy center is expanding. And that experience of the true self, that experience of your consciousness expands and expands as you exhale and let go. Ever so slowly, bring the palms of your hands together at chest level and rub them gently against each other. Gently press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. Slowly open the eyes and lower the hands. On this beautiful full moon evening, this sacred Karthik Purnima, let us experience the fullness of that light in that third eye that opens so we can see. And in that source of our being, that fullness, the fullness of light. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evenings. A beautiful morning and day to our family joining us from all over the world through this gift of technology. And So, so much love to you all.